Hello people, this is Gabriel. Today I want to talk about specialization. Specialization as a phenomenon of animals and people too, but most of all of people. Um, basically, we have a society built upon the principle that everybody is specialized in a specific field and that they will contribute to the whole of society. That is the basic principle. But unfortunately, not everybody has the, a widespread, breadth first type of knowledge that is required to make wiser decisions in a wider spectrum. For example, how to survive in the jungle is very different to how to survive in the city. Uh, or for example, solving mathematical problems and then applying them in a practical sense can be daunting if that mathematics hasn't had a practical approach. So we have a dangerous built-in educational system that is based on the idea that everybody is going to be part but not understand the whole of a system. And it's understandable. The human brain has a very limited amount of neurons and neural networks that can go through certain pathways and create certain memories in our mind. But the reality is that it's limited and not everybody can know everything. So because of the complexity of this universe, people have specialized and they have traded those efforts. And those efforts are now traded by money. So people, instead of engaging in barter, they engage in a more practical term, which is money interchange, that allows a universal unit of exchange, the unit of money. So it is a logical consequence that money exists because we are specialized animals. Now, not only specialized, but also intelligent, much more intelligent than the rest of the species in the animal kingdom and in basically the universe. At least what science has confirmed is that there is no other smarter living being in the universe. At least for according to the information that science has now. Tomorrow it could be different. So we have a limited mind that cannot store, for example, in the hippocampus too many long-term memories, otherwise it will overwrite the previous memories with the more important prioritized memories. For example, if you work as a construction worker, you will prioritize how to create a cement or a pavement type of mix that will allow you to create different types of densities with different chemicals and different powders to construct a wall. And it depends on if it's a column or if it's a secondary wall, etc. So all that knowledge is highly specialized, and it will take priority over more insignificant to his survival tasks, like for example, learning, the depth signs of people, of deaf people, like for example the American death sign, signal sign. For example, a foreign language like Polish, and the guy speaks English. The construction worker speaks English. It is irrelevant to his life to know Polish, and therefore his memories, for example, how to say hello in Polish, will be completely erased from his mind, because it was just a moment in his life that he met a Polish girl when he went, to a trip to Poland, and that event will not repeat itself. So it has to do with the frequency of how many times that event happened, to decide whether the hippocampus will store the memory or not. So it's a complicated subject. Of course, neurologists are studying that phenomenon, and it is incredibly interesting. But what's more important, perhaps, is the fact that some people have distinguished the basic traits for success, right? For example, marketeers appeal to the minimum common multiple, or the average knowledge. So, for example, if you are talking about astronomy in an advertisement, people will not understand too much what you're talking about, even if you're trying to make an analogy. Instead, if you talk about gossip or about everyday life, like in the modern world, where people watch TV, like for example, something that happens with the bed. I don't know, a child pees the bed. So that's a very common thing for families that live in a modern society, and people, many more people will understand that situation, as opposed to how a planet can have a different type of orbit depending on its density, for example. A subject that is studied in astronomy, but that is unknown to perhaps the majority of the population. And of course, that's a very simple concept, but if you go deeper into astronomy, you will understand that there are things that nobody will understand, and it's a very specialized language. Even if you're describing it with English, some words, even though they sound the same as common English, they actually mean something entirely different. So it's a caveat. And so success happens to marketeers because they appeal to the majority of people. Okay, so talk shows talk about gossip because most people are used to looking at people, talking to them, and it's a very common thing to talk about other people. So it's gonna be popular to talk about other people. Okay. As opposed to, a botanist talking about how the flower blooms in spring, etc., etc. Right? Then you have commerce that has succeeded. So commerce depends on specialization because people that, for example, the construction worker needs to trade his construction skills in order to buy food, and the supermarket cashier needs the construction worker's money so that he can himself, be specialized in making the receipt machine, I don't remember the exact name, how to work, and the housewife, how to raise children, etc. So that trade of different activities, some difficult, some simpler, are needed in order to make a society work. And without that specialization, we wouldn't have that degree of excellence in, especially in the fields of science, right? people that study quantum physics spend their entire lives trying to understand very complicated concepts, and they cannot bother to be distracted with. For example, I don't know how much the the nails were painted by the stylist in a in a saloon that is 2 blocks away from his house. It's completely irrelevant information, and people are specialized people have to be disciplined and not be distracted by irrelevant things. And that leads me to how people become rich. People that become rich are not generally smarter, but specifically smarter in the sense that they are specialized in commerce. And so they have an ability to make money flow. And of course, as the individualistic people that some of us are, the some humans are, they will tend to attract money to their bank accounts. And so all the thoughts will attempt to bring more money to his family or her family. Nobody knows everything that there is for a specific topic, because every topic is too complex, and also there are a lot of distractions. There is a lot of noise, a lot of moronic ideologies, and just wrong, illogical explanations. Especially now with the internet, there's an overload of bad information out there. Being specialized is difficult, let alone being so efficient at your specialization that you know everything. Okay, it's impossible, and also by the nature of the universe that's constantly changing, people cannot have the knowledge of everything in a subject, let alone everything that there is in the universe. Right? That would be like a godlike knowledge. So that has been all for today. Thanks for listening.